is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you? I'm doing wonderful now that I am in your living room, in your kitchen, in your boudoir, or wherever you watch this show. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie, and on this show you know me as Tongie, and welcome to another edition of Talk to Tongie. Happy Thursday. I am so excited to be here. And why am I so excited? Well, for so many reasons. One, this is National Creole Month. Did I get that right?
Creole Heritage Month.
Do you hear that voice in the background? That's our guest for this evening. None other than the man that knows everything about Creole, was it National Creole History Month? None other than Mr. La Force. Yeah. Hilary La Force that's coming up. He's going to tell us a thing or two about culture and what it means and why it's so important to never forget, right? But before we get into all of that goodness, can I just say that I am so grateful for you allowing me seriously into your homes. Whenever I get to meet people that associate me with the show, it's always nice and kind and positive things, and I really do appreciate that. You have no earthly idea. There are times when I'm having one of those human moments, right? And to have someone say, hey, I'm listening, and thank you so very much for what you're doing. It's not me relishing any ego, because we don't deal with ego, right? But it's me saying thank you very, very much because of the sacrifices that we all make. My intentions are always to come and just be kind and be loving and be compassionate so that I can look like what I read every day, all right? So I'm going to talk a little in Creole this evening. Yeah, I'm going to try it anyway. And I'm going to be giving away vouchers. Yeah, I've got 2 vouchers to give away for dinner or lunch at Sukaraji on me. Thank you, Mr. Aristotle, for all you've done and all that you continue to do to support this show. I'm really grateful for it, and I do not take it lightly or for granted. And without further ado, again, thank you for allowing us to be here. And I'm going to bring on our guest, who is, when I've got this producer that, and you know him, he scouts. And he looks for people who have very interesting stories that need to be shared and need to be celebrated. And when he talked about Mr. La Force, yes, exactly. I said, okay. And then when I got an opportunity to meet him, it was like sitting in my history classroom back in the day. And he's just well-versed. He's well-poised. And when I tell you this man knows what he's talking about, he really does. So, Mr. Hilary La Force, thank you, sir. Thank you for saying yes, for coming on. And being this thick tongue from Mississippi is going to try to talk. We're going to try to talk some Creole tonight. Okay. So, can I start with just saying, wait.
Me? That's me?
Me?
Yeah. Yes, it's
yeah.
Me. Very well.
Did I do good?
You want to say something about me?
I said I love you. I didn't say I love you.
Oh.
This is a live show. I'm doing it right now.
No.
You're supposed to say you did good. You did good. Come on, Mr.
Okay, pretty good. All right. Well, thank you again. It was a pleasure for coming.
Thank you, sir.
To discuss culture with you.
Absolutely.
And it's part of my passion. I love to discuss culture.
Yes.
And my background, of course, is also into the culture aspect of our country. Let me begin by saying, what is culture? What is culture? What do you think is culture?
What do I think culture is? I believe that culture is really it's a lifestyle, but it's ways where beliefs and let's see that are passed down, ways of life that are passed down from generation to generation.
Yeah, you got it right. But simply, it is the way of life, or what you know. The way of life of a people, and what you actually learn from your people. The way you learn to do things and so on.
For sure.
So it involves your language.
Yes.
Your accent part of your language.
Okay.
Okay. The way of your manner of dress. Okay. Your cuisine.
Your cuisine. Okay.
The way you walk. The way you behave generally.
For sure.
All right, your family life, all of that part of your culture.
Part of your culture.
Okay.
Okay.
And every country has a culture.
For
every
sure.
country.
Yes.
And it's a dynamic. It's a dynamic phenomenon. In other words, it does not remain static. It changes all the time.
It does.
So what you may say, this is what was my culture.
Yeah.
Eventually may end up doing something else.
Ha.
And there is also that situation if smaller countries, they tend to emulate a bigger country's culture.
For sure.
It's called acculturation. All right. It's and even within the Caribbean, for example, you have the small country like St. Lucia is a small country compared to Jamaica.
For sure.
So we would now want to. Most of us have taken up the Jamaican culture of their songs, their reggae, and so on. Even the manner of speech, the way it sound.
Okay.
All of that, you tend to copy this.
For sure.
All right. So
for sure.
So there is that acculturation of human beings, and the culture it continues, it grows, and so on.
For sure.
All right. There are certain traditional ways that is being maintained, and you try to maintain it so that people can remember it for prosperity. In other words, it's also part of your history.
Absolutely.
And you need to know where you came from to know where you're going.
You better believe it.
All right. And
yes, sir.
It was Marcus Garvey who said, "The man without a culture is like a tree without roots."
Come on, man.
Okay.
Come on. Talk about it.
Right. You need to have a culture. You need to know your history.
You need to.
Okay. And if you don't know your history, obviously, you're not rooted into where you come from. Okay.
And I'm glad you said that too, because I'm from the U.S., but I personally have adopted St. Lucia as my country. So I'm assimilating into the culture. But I remember growing up in Mississippi. I'm from a small town, Columbus, Mississippi, where I'm from. Hey, Columbus. And I remember wanting to know where I'm from. It was always fascinating that when I would talk to my school friends, and they would always tell me, we're from Sweden or we're from Poland, and I'm thinking, wow, that is so incredible. But you understand, slavery did a number on us, right?
Yes, quite right.
And when you're looking for the root, what do I bring to the table as this brown-skinned girl? Where am I from? And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself adopting other folks' culture because you don't know where you fit in.
Right. Okay.
How do you, and this is just you and I just having a fireside chat here, and you can join in too, all right? How do you even begin to know that this is a part of where I belong? This is my tribe, so to speak.
Okay. We were taught that for parents with slaves, they came from Africa.
For sure.
Mainly in the West African countries like Kenya and so on. They were taken and brought, as you say, the Middle Passage of Cape down to the Caribbean.
Right.
All right, and they were used as slaves, forced labor.
Right.
Without pay, but the slave masters took care of you, they fed you,
for sure,
saw about your health and so on. And in some instances, it was a crime against humanity. It has been established that it's a crime against humanity.
Absolutely.
Because we were brutalized, we were ill-treated, we were treated worse than animals. Okay? Then we were liberated, not very easily. Right. Some of us fought for the liberation.
Oh, absolutely.
There were wars. There was what they call the brigands, or what they call in our local Creole palace, the Negmao. When you hear this name, there's talk about the brigands,
For sure.
the people who left and went in the bush and tried to revolt and fight against the slave masters. Okay? And so we got liberated. Now, while we were under serious, pressure of work, without pay and so on, under our slave masters, when we were liberated, we were still in a state of flux because we didn't know what to do.
Absolutely.
We had no money.
Yep.
We had nothing to fight back on. In some instances, some of the slaves felt that it's better to remain where I was because I'm now it's a bit worse off.
Doesn't that sound like the children of Israel a little bit? Who, once they got out of Egypt, they said, it's so much better for us to just go back to Egypt. Where we at least we knew we were going to eat and what have you. But continue, please.
Okay, but what is even more disturbing is the fact that after slavery was abolished, the slave masters were paid for the loss of their labor, but the slaves were never paid.
Wow.
Hence the reason why there is that movement about reparations for the slaves and reparations for the children of the slaves, people like ourselves.
Absolutely, descendants. Absolutely.
To get paid for all what was we did for absolutely nothing.
See, all right? I don't want you rushing through that. Because they keep saying break. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to be right back because I really want you to glean from this gentleman, him taking time out of his busy schedule to come by and teach us a lesson in culture, and this being the month of
Creole Heritage Month.
I knew you were going to say it. Heritage Month. I'll practice that during the break. Yeah. We'll be right back, and thank you for tuning in. Hey, it's your girl, Dr. Tongie. From the Talk to Tongie show. Are you ready to maximize your business exposure? Of course you are. Why not consider placing an ad right here with me on the Talk to Tongie show on DBS?
Hey. Dr. Tongie is a good friend of mine. She has been a good role model, a good person to look up to, and she's just full of life, full of love, and she shares that with everyone, and she lives true to her principles. She has just been one person who has got your back always through all forms of life, and I'm very grateful that I've got the chance to meet her. Love you, Dr. T.
This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together. All right, we are back. Thank you yet again for just hanging out with us, man. You have no earthly idea what you're doing for my soul right now, and I am very grateful. I do not take it lightly or for granted. I know you could be doing whatever it is that you need to do this evening, but you're hanging out with your friend, man, and that means something to me. So we're getting back to this amazing heritage.
Creole Heritage Month.
Yep,
Creole Heritage Month, yes, yeah.
So sorry. Let me open the phone lines before I get a shoe thrown at me. All right, we're going to open up the phone lines. 716-0039. 716-0039. We want to hear some of your stories of why this is such an important month for you. Maybe it was your big mama, your grandmama, your nana, your pawpaw that taught you some things, and you can remember what they were saying, and you just enjoy celebrating this month, please feel free to call. And later on in the show, if you can see this, thank you, Mr. Aristotle. This is a $50 voucher for you to have lunch or dinner on me, on us, all right? It's sushi at Sukaraji's Japanese restaurant, which is absolutely delicious. Had a chance to eat there yesterday. So, and they also have food that's cooked, okay? So if you don't like raw fish, it's okay. You can order from the menu. All right, so bonjour.
Yes,
yeah?
bonsoir this time. It's a really
Damn
nice
it.
time.
Just kick me under the table, man, and just tell me what word to say.
All right.
So we're talking about this ugly form of life that our forefathers, ancestors had to endure.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that reparations is something that they're talking about now.
Right now.
But can you really pay for the damage that was done?
It'll be difficult. It's going to cost too much. However,
come
you have to start somewhere. However, I brought in the idea of the slave trade just to indicate part of our culture as West Indians.
Absolutely.
And black people.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Our forefathers left a lot of what they did. Among these were the drum.
Yeah.
Okay, the drum which they use to communicate,
Yeah.
the drum they use for dancing and so on. And up to this time, we are using that drum.
Yeah, we are.
As a matter of fact, I say to people that drum is synonymous with black people.
Come on now.
If somebody comes with a drum and beat out there, and there's some children around who are black children, and they hear it, they will dance.
My feet dance all the time.
If you bring some other nation, they may find some difficulty doing drum dancing to it. It's an inborn part of us.
For sure.
Okay, part of the culture that we inherited from our parents who were slaves.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but let me come get more specific and into our own St. Lucia.
Okay.
The Pioneers of Creole Heritage Month is an organization called the Folk Research Center. The actual name is the Monsieur Patrick Anthony Folk Research Center, named after a Catholic priest.
Okay.
This organization began way back in 1973, and incidentally, this year is 50 years of its existence.
Come on, really?
Yes, it's a non-governmental organization, an NGO, and it has been doing a lot of research and work in the culture and folkways of St. Lucia.
Wow.
And guess what? It began by some youngsters at what they call St. Mary's College, who at the time they called themselves the Studies and Action Group. These youngsters are going around St. Lucia documenting all the folkways and the culture of St. Lucia, and eventually mushroomed into what is now called the Monsieur Patrick Anthony Folk Research Center.
Absolutely.
Now, the Creole, which is the language that we speak, we have two languages. We are bilingual. We speak English, the official language, and then we have Creole, which was once called patois. As a broken French. Yeah. But now it's a full language. It's called Creole. Okay. In just around 1972, around that time, the Creole-speaking countries in the Caribbean approached UNESCO. UNESCO, that is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. All right, to recognize that language, the Creole language, and so they had October 28th. As International Creole Day. That is the language that we speak.
International Creole.
So that's the Creole that we speak. Though there are several Creole languages. You must remember that. There are other Creole languages in the Caribbean. For example, there's something called Taki. There is Papilmento. And even in Jamaica, there is that Jamaican patois. And so the different languages. But this one we call the Creole is the one we refer to. That is being celebrated on the 28th of October. So as part of this organization's mandate of promoting its culture, the Folk Research Center embraced that initiative.
For sure.
And the first year we discussed the language only, but the following year, which is 1984, we thought that we should not only celebrate the language, but all aspects of our culture.
Oh, come on, Mr.
You know, as we said earlier on, our cuisine, our foods, our dances, our games. You know, you mentioned it, our clothing and so on. You probably note that there's a particular manner of dress that we have. There's something called the warp duet, which our parents used years ago, long dress. They use the cloth, a madras cloth. initially it was a flower cloth, but for some reason we moved to that madras cloth that is now being used to decorate buildings, and people use it to wear, their clothes, ladies, men, design, have designer shirts, have designer shoes, all type of stuff with that Creole madras wear.
Absolutely love it.
And so, as part of that big celebration, we had various communities, who hosted the activity.
Okay.
And there you have all the display, all the various foods, all the cuisine that we spoke about.
Yeah.
And we at the Folk Research Center, because I used to be at one time the executive director out there, we ensured that people learn about the culture, and we had them to establish exhibitions to portray what they, what we know about our culture.
For sure.
Not only to display old utensils, as some people think that is our only culture.
Okay.
That is only one part of it. And even then, as I mentioned earlier, culture is dynamic. Some of those equipment that we use in those days, now we use in modern equipment.
For sure.
All right, and it's changing all the time.
For sure.
And you could say that let us, preserve this one because we don't use it to continue all the time. It will continue changing as time goes on.
Absolutely.
A typical example. The phones that we use today, the house phones, they have evolved over the years.
Yeah.
In fact, now you hardly see fixed lines. It's now your cell phone.
For sure.
Some years ago, not too long ago, I recall some young children came to our offices and they saw those dial phones and they said, "What's that?"
What is that? Ouch.
Could you imagine? And to us, that is something fairly recent.
For sure.
But to them, that is archaic. Okay, so you see how it moves and it changes.
Absolutely.
So you could not remain doing one particular thing all the time. It has to move. It has to change. It's dynamic. Okay. So that particular activity, which is called Journée Creole, has now been embraced by the entire country of St. Lucia. It's a huge affair.
It really is.
It is big.
Yeah.
Now it has been held on one day, the last day closest to the 28th of October.
Okay.
Which is what is called Journée Creole, the Creole Day.
Creole.
But sometime later, after we began the activity, we decided to look at the entire month as a month to celebrate, our culture. And this is why it's called Creole Heritage Month.
Yeah.
And in the Creole language, we say, Moi Héritage Creole. Could you say that? Moi Héritage Creole.
Oh, wait.
All right.
You didn't kick me, dude. All right, say it once again.
Moi, that's for month. Moi. Heritage.
Heritage.
Creole. All right. Creole.
Heritage.
Moi, Heritage Creole. Creole Heritage Month. Okay.
Oh, I just wish this accent wasn't so thick. I could get it. I know I could, but I get it. I'm watching you and I'm listening intuitively to every word you're saying, and I can see the pride that you're carrying. You give me goosebumps here. I can see the pride that you're carrying because it's important to you.
Very well, it's surely important, and I love that aspect of my culture.
Absolutely,
I look forward to it.
Do you?
And promote it.
Yeah, of course you do. That's why you're on the show.
Now, there's also, as part of our culture, we have a very rich folkway. Or called folkways. We have something called two flower festivals.
Okay.
One called a La Force.
Okay.
That is a rose, a red rose, being celebrated in the month of August. The 30th of August is the big day.
30th of August, okay.
And there's one called La Marguerite. La Marguerite, which is a blue flower, and that has been celebrated on the 17th of this month. Wow. Not very far away, on the 17th of this month. And it has been part of our culture for for time immemorial. All right, and we continue to promote it
for sure,
and ensure that it's our children and so on.
Yes,
keep it and continue the tradition. Okay.
Wow. So, when did you become so involved in wanting to keep that beautiful heritage of ours? I say ours. When did you say, you know what, someone has to pick up the baton? Or was it maybe just something that you thought about doing and it happened?
Okay, let's put it this way. I began my line of work was agriculture. I was a trained agriculturist. Then I moved into banking. Initially what is called the Agricultural Industrial Bank, which merged with some other institutions to form the St. Lucia Development Bank. And then this bank merged with the National Commercial Bank to form the Bank of St. Lucia. Okay, so I was part of that transition. Okay. But then, growing up as a youngster, I was always culturally educated, put it this way. My parents, they were all into the cultural aspect of things.
And so that's
they
important.
Were all, no, because they all the other areas that we do that is very, it is almost in extinction today, but we call it the kudme. Kudme. Now, kudme is actually in French, but the Creole says kudme. It's coupe de main in French.
Coupe de main.
Yeah, meaning self-help work. That's what it is.
Okay.
All right, and our foreparents did this, all right, regularly, because it was a way, because of the homogeneity in the communities.
For sure.
They were not very rich, so whatever they did, they came together to achieve what they want to achieve.
And that's where I want to hang out right there just for a second. And I've learned that being here, it's such a beautiful melting pot of not everybody is family, but everybody is family.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the communities that I've been very fortunate to go into, it's, hey, have you eaten? Hey, do you need something to drink? And I'm thinking, what? And it didn't cost me anything. It was just people's way of saying thank you for coming and I love you, and that really does matter. I've noticed it here, and I've traveled extensively, and I'm grateful for that, but it is just something about being here in St. Lucia and the beautiful people here. It's like everybody wants to see the other person make it.
Exactly.
If that makes any sense.
Yes, it surely does. And so that was a very strong point in our upbringing, the aspect of culture, the kudme aspect of life.
Absolutely.
So people build homes together. You didn't spend a cent in building a home. They build boats together. They do the gardens together. And you know what is very interesting about these?
Yes, sir.
As part of that task, they had music. There was always a drum involved.
Wow.
And they were singing. And that you forgot that you're working because you enjoyed the whole activity.
Yeah.
Because there's music and it was in time. But for example, they made what is called boards out of logs, and there's a particular drum beat for this.
Oh, come
on! And the people would be beating the drum and the sawing the boards, and that was it was such a nice thing.
You remember this?
Oh yes, very much indeed. And as part of that activity, there'll be the cuisine or the cuisine out there, they'll be boiling food, there'll be some bouillon.
You better come on and talk about it.
All of that, it was part of the whole thing. I look forward to it.
Oh my God.
And it is part of my own upbringing.
It was your bringing, absolutely.
So naturally, when I left the formal aspect of my career,
for sure,
naturally I went into the Folk Research Center where this is being promoted and being promulgated. And so I found myself, being a member, becoming a member of the board, and eventually being the executive director of the organization.
Gosh. So you took it to a whole other dimension. Now, do you get an opportunity to go around and to speak to other various groups?
Oh yes, very much so when I did that. But let me just say to you, I'm also an accomplished storyteller. And so...
Did I know that?
Using the Creole language, all right, using my language.
Oh, come on.
That, I have been to several of those countries that speak the Creole. So I've been to Martinique several times doing storytelling. I've been to Dominica, been to Guadeloupe, been to Haiti, been to French Guiana. All these places there, I'm telling stories. In the Creole language.
That is so, it is amazing because now I'm literally getting chill bumps everywhere that the culture is so rich, right? But you know your culture.
Exactly.
You know it. So you don't have to be misidentified by, I don't want to say the Western because, I'm part of that world, but you embrace it. And your enthusiasm is just radiating in you.
Right.
You know that, right?
On several occasions, I have thought of migrating and going elsewhere. But I've always said, but if I do that, I will miss that aspect of my culture.
You better talk about it.
And as a result, I have turned down any attempts to migrate and don't leave my own country because of that aspect of that richness of my culture, which I enjoy, and which up to this point, as far as I'm concerned, I will die use that aspect of my culture, and else, the aspect about games and so on as part of
and
our
it
culture.
means it really is the fiber, isn't it? It's part of your that tapestry.
Exactly.
Absolutely. 716-0039 is our number. I'm here with this amazing storyteller, and he is teaching me not patois but Creole.
Yeah, well, Creole. Patois is it is called a broken French at the time, patois, but now it's a language. It has its own orthography, grammar, vocabulary.
That is
it's a
so
language.
interesting.
And I teach the language myself. I do teach the language.
No way. Well, you signed me up, sir. So I can come to your class so I can be able to come before my sisters and brothers and speak the language.
Exactly.
It's something about building relationships, and we build it in all kinds of ways, but when you understand the language, it's so funny when I hear people talking in the Creole, and I'm wondering, man, I wonder if they're talking about me.
That's all the case, you always believe that they're saying something ill about you,
But anyway, so bon matin.
Bon matin means in the morning. The morning. Bon matin, the morning. I say good morning, bonjour. Yeah, but this means that the morning is bon matin.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's actually matin, morning. Bon matin means good morning.
Bon matin.
Yeah.
Okay.
But of course, we don't normally say bon matin. We say bonjour.
Well, I guess you're telling me a thing or two.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when you're talking with the children, and especially children, and I just have an affinity for babies. I do. I've got this little thing called the pinky swear, and it's something in a pinky swear with a child. They hold you accountable for your words.
Yeah.
What do you want them to glean from this rich culture that St. Lucia has to offer?
Oh, well, there's several things you can do out of that. First of all, eating healthy, using our foods.
Yes.
That is very important. Today, that aspect of health is very, very important.
Absolutely.
So you must talk about the food, the healthy food that we use from the garden into the pot. No chemicals, no,
I love it.
no whatever.
Yeah, those additives and all.
so
Yeah,
on,
absolutely.
Right? Okay, so we need to talk about the healthy foods, and this is what our parents did many years ago. They ate, well, they still do it. Some of us still do it. They ate straight from the garden into the pot.
I love it.
All right. There were no processed foods in
For sure.
this kind of stuff.
For sure.
So you will guarantee that you eat healthy, and as a result, you can live a little longer.
Absolutely.
And without any major diseases.
Right.
All right? So that's one part of it. Then you need to be able to say that your language is important to you. This is how people identify you.
Right.
You identify people from the way they speak, the accent.
Yep.
You can know somebody, it means you hear the accent.
Yep.
I would know that you're American based on how you sound.
Well,
Okay.
you don't like my Creole? No. I'm joshing. But okay.
All right. And it's so instructive. Within the Caribbean, every island has a different accent.
That's crazy.
You would imagine
Yeah.
that? And the Caribbean, especially the English-speaking Caribbean, has less than 5 million people, probably about 5 million people.
Okay.
And they each have a different accent.
Wow.
Now, even the Creole too. The Creole itself has an accent too. The Creole people who speak in Martinique and St. Lucia, Dominica, Guadeloupe, they all sound different. There's an accent.
Huh.
And of course, Haiti. All right?
That is something.
They sound different.
They do.
All right, so the accent would make, if you know, familiar with the person's accent, you know where they come from. Okay, you're from there, all right, based on the way you sound.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's also very important, to identify and identify yourself, as somebody in the world.
Absolutely.
All right, based on your accent, the way, the manner you speak, the way of dress, the manner of dressing.
Yeah.
Of course, although dress today has been more universal, you see people dressing.
I've seen that.
Almost copying what we see in the metropolitan countries,
For
And years ago, one would say, okay, if you come to St. Lucia and see ladies wearing what they call the wub duet, and you say, okay, that's the St. Lucian way of dressing, which gives them life. But today, everybody wears the same thing the Americans wear, the same thing the English wear, the British wear, and so on. So the matter of where you may not be able to identify the person.
That's
all
true.
right.
Very true.
Okay. Yeah. So. The culture is definitely something that is important for us
Okay.
as a people. It identifies you with who you are.
Yes.
You may not be rich, but at least you know you've got something that people identify with.
Absolutely. And that's so important with identity and with what we're experiencing now with social media. And I know social media is a way of life. It really, really
Yes,
is
sure,
to kind of
it's a way
keep
of
in
life.
touch with people.
Very well.
It's really important that people can understand, yeah, you may see it out there on social media, but stay true to the identity that you've been reared in, right?
Exactly.
What's a typical day as a storyteller? You're a storyteller. What's a typical day? What's the objective of the story?
Okay, there are several different stories. There's the story that would more or less, if you have enough time, it could be very lengthy.
Okay.
Can be as long as 15 minutes.
Okay.
Now, these type of stories were said mainly at what they call wakes. Are you aware of what they call wakes?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Absolutely.
somebody died.
Someone died.
Now, that tradition has gone on in our country.
No way.
Yeah, it's not there anymore. Now, years ago when somebody died, the people came together, particularly in the rural setting, and from the very first day, the person is exposed,
Right.
and people coming with their own materials, boards to make a coffin. The very night.
Oh,
they
come
make a coffin.
on.
Oh, yes. And by the next day, the person is ready for burial because there was no way of keeping the body for too long.
For embalming or what have you.
Embalming and so on. So you had to bury it the very next day.
Okay.
But the people remain by you for up to 9 days. 9 nights, up to 9 nights.
In your home.
At your house, yes.
Okay.
And at that, people tell stories. They bring food. They eat food.
Wow.
They have coffee for it to remain asleep. They use what they call bay leaf tea.
Yeah.
All right. Have you drunk that yet?
I
Yes,
have,
drunk
and
that.
it's
Okay.
absolutely delicious.
Yes,
The only
okay.
thing that'll keep me sleeping all night is the
And
Bailey
coffee
tea.
and so on.
Yes.
And the people tell stories.
Yeah.
And now the stories, as I said, since you have enough time, you take a story for 15 minutes, and everybody remains at attention. You grab their attention.
Wow.
And ever so often there is something saying quick, and they answer quack, quick, quack. Okay. Okay. But if I were to go to have a show having my storytelling, a story could not be like as long as 15 minutes.
No.
You get people bored.
Oh, I was about to say you'll lose interest.
Yeah, you'll lose interest.
Absolutely.
So it will be shorter stories, sometimes less than 5 minutes.
Okay.
Nothing more than 5 minutes. Okay. And you have a series of them.
Wow.
Okay. Now, in the early days, too, people would talk about the animals. So you hear about things like Coppe lapin, which is the rabbit,
Okay.
and Coppe tig, which is the tiger,
Okay.
and so on. The stories about how the animals behaved.
Oh, wow.
I would not be doing that right now because that is more or less children would
For
more or less,
sure.
yeah, would probably gravitate to this.
Absolutely.
But the grown-ups would have, imagine, leave it alone. So I'd put something more in the modern setting.
For sure.
All right, and make it more interesting. In that way.
Absolutely.
All right.
Wow. It's just I say this often, but not as often as I should. But being in the presence of people who are so gifted, who are great, and you do know that, right? You carry that's gravity. That's a lot of gravity that you're carrying. That responsibility. I want to know your why. I get it that, I had an opportunity to kind of move wherever I wanted to, but I love my country, I love my culture, but what's your why? Why is it so important to you?
Okay. Again, as you said, it's culture, the way of life, the things that you learn. And so the other major aspects of I wanting to remain and love my own country is
Yes,
the
sir.
fact that I'm able to live comfortably. Now, many people have migrated because they're able to live comfortably and
sure.
say, well, let us go out and look for the greener pastures, as they say.
Yeah.
All right. But in my case, I thought that I was able to live comfortably.
Yeah.
And moreover, what I love, so let me stay put.
Gotcha.
But I enjoyed traveling too.
sure.
I
For
do
sure.
enjoy traveling, going for a holiday,
Yes.
and also traveling to do storytelling.
Yeah.
Okay, you
Yeah.
meet people. I love meeting different people.
For sure.
And interact with them and so on.
Absolutely.
Okay, and
Absolutely.
that is part of the why.
That's part of the why. I love it. Absolutely. So, if you are gleaning from this gentleman, and I told you that you were in for a treat, I need to hear from you. We need to hear from you. 716-0039. You be the first caller, and I'm going to give you dinner or lunch on me. That's a Sukaraji. We'll be right back after this quick break, but are you having fun?
Sure, I am.
I am
all
too. Listen to me when I come back. I'm going to show you how much fun I'm having.
Okay.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, it's your girl, Dr. Tongie. You know, from the Talk to Tongie show. Are you ready to maximize your business exposure? Of course you are. Why not consider placing an ad right here with me on the Talk to Tongie show on DBS?
Hey. You know, Dr. Tongie is a good friend of mine. She has been a good role model, a good person to look up to, and she's just full of life, full of love, and she shares that with everyone, and she lives true to her principles. She has just been one person who has got your back always through all forms of life, and I'm very grateful that I got the chance to meet her. You know, love you, Dr. T.
This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together.
You're on.
I cannot hear anything in my ear. Thank you, sir. Live TV. I want to say a hello to Miss Kayla Bryant, who's watching from Atlanta. Kayla, I love you so very much. You already know that, my lovely. True story. This woman literally, how many years ago now that I've been in business, held my hand when I told her that, you know, we're going to do this thing, and she gave me her licensure to get this nanny and home care agency started, and I was extremely grateful and will always be grateful for everything that you've done. Thank you so very much. And I want to say hello to Leandro Valley. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, forgive me, please. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening. Of course, love Tisha. My Tisha's watching. Hey, Ty. Thank you so very much for always supporting your mama, man. Of course, Miss Annie Lucius Anthony. Hey, Miss Annie. Thank you so very much. When I tell you that this woman shows up and supports, she does. I am grateful for you, ma'am. And of course, Morgan Hawthorne, my Morgan. Thank you so very much for hanging out with me this evening. I'm truly grateful for everyone that just kind of stopped by and listened to me mess up these Creole words. We'll try it anyway. So we're going to talk a little bit about food.
Very well.
Yes. I had my first trial of
the bouillon. Okay.
How you say it?
Bouillon.
Bouillon. Yes. And it is absolutely delicious. It was so good.
Okay.
What's in the bouillon bowl?
Okay. Generally, it is a mixture of different foods.
Okay.
Dumplings.
All right.
Yes, that's one.
Okay.
Mature plantains. Not ripe, but mature plantains.
Mature. Okay. All right.
Peas. Now, there's various peas you can put in there. It could be red beans. It could be split peas. You can also be black-eyed peas, which is not very common like before.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's also body beans or even lentils.
Oh, my
can
goodness.
be put in there.
I love lentil.
All right.
Yeah.
And then you can use either pork as the flesh.
Okay.
Or chicken.
Okay.
or in some instances, crab.
Oh,
Have you
come
even eaten
on.
crab?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
no. And you know what's good about it?
What was that?
If it is cooked in an oven pot, what they call the kanawi. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
It's an oven pot kanawi. Now we obtain that kanawi presumably from the Caribs, the Carinado. They had this pot made out of earth, all right, mud, and it has what is called slow cooking.
Okay.
So what you put the food in, it will not be cooked, too quickly. It will cook. It's slow.
So we call that a crock pot back home.
Oh, no, I know people on TV call that pot, oh good Lord. And you know why? If it slips from your hand, you say, oh good Lord, it's gone. Okay. So that pot makes a difference in the taste, the cooking. All right? You probably have been to the hotels and see when they serve the bouillon, it's in that oven pot.
No, I've actually had folk cook it for me and give it to me. I don't know what to do it in the hotels, but these women can cook.
So that is one of the dishes that is very well. It is up to now, it's part of our culture. We have this. Then what is called a national dish is green fig.
Yes,
and
I've had green
saltfish.
fig. Yes,
All
yes,
right?
yes.
And that again, of course, is very common.
Yeah.
People eat this. All right. Then there's breadfruit and saltfish.
Yes, sir.
Or breadfruit and smoked herring. We say hawasaw in the Creole language. Hawasaw.
Okay.
In the Creole language. And there's also pork. All right, stewed pork. This is my favorite.
Ooh, good night,
stewed
Irene.
pork. and whatever ground provisions of food. It could be stewed pork and with dasheen, or with breadfruit, or sweet potato. You know, all of that mixture. Now, you know, one of the cultures of St. Lucia, we are among the only countries through the Caribbean that give you a wide range of food in your plate.
You are so right. Like Lucian over at the village. I see when I go to order, I get so much food. She's very generous with her portions. So thank you, Miss Lucian. Wow.
Whereas in some jurisdictions or some areas you get some rice and chicken. But with us, rice is this butter rice. There is some sweet potato. There is potato salad. There is dasheen. There is plantain. There is banana. So it's a nice mixture in that plate.
It really is.
And of course, the flesh could be pork, and I like my pork.
You like your pork. Now he'll say it 3 times, ladies.
Eat pork, all right? But certain religions don't eat pork. But I will tell you, you'll miss out because it's tasty meat.
I love him.
And there's yam and and so on as part of the whole thing. So that's another part of the food.
Oh, wow.
Now there's also some delicacies. For example, you may get what they call conch.
I've heard of conch.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see lambi.
Labi.
All right. Okay. Lambi, conch. That is one dish.
Okay.
There is something called wilks. We call buigo in Creole. Wilks.
Yeah. Wilks.
Well, buigo. That's another dish.
All right.
Okay. There's something called blackfish.
Blackfish.
And we say in Creole mashwe.
Mashwe.
Mashwe. All right. That's all. All these are all. Yeah. There is some delicious. There's of course lobster. But of course the lobster has a season in St. Lucia.
For sure.
During this time, the season is open. By the time it's closed, to avoid overfishing of that species.
Okay.
All right. There's another species that is closed completely, and that is the urchins, what they call sea eggs.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Time out. You can eat
urchins? Yes.
Really?
Oh yes, but not. But it's all closed completely.
Oh, it's closed
because because it's been overfished.
Gotcha.
And as a result, the stocks have depleted considerably.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
And then you have things like there's a particular animal called the opossum.
A possum?
Yeah, manikou.
Oh, hold up, time out. Hold up, time out. Possum.
Yes, a possum, yes.
Mississippi about to come out. Let me sit on my hand. We eat possum?
This is very delicious, I can tell you. Once it's properly done.
Mr. Hillary, come on.
If you don't know, you might want to eat the other, but if you don't know, and it's prepared for you, by Jove, this thing
If I don't know, then I'm going to ask somebody to come on and get my bail money. Because if you serve me
this
possum.
is very tasty. All right?
Wow.
Oh, it's very, very tasty.
Really?
And I did mention the blackfish. There is blackfish that is also used. So it's a wide range of food that all part of St. Lucian culture. part of the cuisine of St. Lucia. All right.
Okay.
And all of this, of course, the chicken is more recent. Now, years ago, we had our local chicken.
Okay, now
what they call the yard fowl that was hanging around, and we stewed this. Okay.
Okay.
You can stew it, but today those we have right now, they're only 6 weeks old. You can't stew it.
Wait a minute.
You can't really stew it. It will fall apart. so you normally you know barbecue. It's not tough. You just barbecue on the sit. But those of years ago, they were tougher.
Yeah.
You know, because they're around for about a year and plus.
Oh my
and you could stew it. Okay. So all of these, that we as part of our foods, as part of the Journée Creole. But it's not only for Journée Creole. They try to get as much of it around that time, but it's normally the part of our cuisine throughout the year.
For sure. I love this. You're just a breath of fresh air. You're a wealth of information.
Yeah.
I feel like I can immerse myself even the more in the culture.
Yeah, but you know what? Even when you're stewing beef or pork, there's a special pot you use. There's not any pot at all.
Okay.
All right, there's this metal pot that you use that's used for stewing. If it's in a pan, you won't get the same kind of taste and flavor.
Gotcha.
All right, so you need the special pot.
Wow.
And again, if it's slow cooked, it's even better. Okay, cooked on what is called, we call it in Creole, a tesson.
Tesson.
Yeah, tesson.
Okay.
All right, a pot. Is a fire pot that they use.
Sure.
Okay, or the coal pot they call it, and you put coal in there. All right, and you put your stuff over this.
Wow.
And this thing, when they were stewing things like beef, by the time it's been stewed, they pour a little water into the pot, and the smell alone would arouse your appetite.
Good night,
immediately.
Someone named Agnes Noel says that was a meal. Right, lady. It sure was.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this thing was very tasty. But the thing with this beef.
Yeah.
Well, in those days, it's when beef was its best. At one time, beef was the thing in our country.
Really?
Today, yes, beef. People have not eaten beef that like before. They claim that, of course, the red meat issue that causes cholesterol and stuff.
For sure. In moderation.
But people go more for white meat, which is pork and chicken.
Okay.
But years ago, beef was the thing.
Beef was the thing.
Oh yes, particularly on a Sunday. All right, you look forward to your Sunday meal.
Yeah.
Beef.
Yeah. Right? So you grew up with this.
Exactly.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
And you look forward to having a Sunday meal.
Oh, I love it.
This is when you have most of the various preparations. Well, over the years, we have infused some new dishes into our meal. For example, macaroni and cheese. Mac and cheese is very common now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, mac and cheese is very common. Yeah, it's not my favorite, but I prefer my heavy food.
But of course you do.
Red fruit and dasheen and yam and sweet potato and plantain and type of stuff. I prefer this.
Yeah. You speak like a beautiful orator who knows the importance of community.
Very well.
The importance of culture, even down to the food, the language, what binds, what ties us together.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Now, there are some local restaurants down at the market, the Castro's market, and they serve all these foods.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
And let me say to you that sometimes when the tourists come to St. Lucia, they end up there.
Are you
eating some
serious?
of these foods. I have a friend of mine who lives in Martinique, and he says, look, I could pay my passage by the boat, get to St. Lucia, and go to a market to buy this food for only $15.
Oh, come on.
Which is the equivalent of about less than €5 in this country.
Absolutely.
And there's no way you could get a plate of food for €5.
For €5. Okay. Wow. So
and the amount that he gets.
This is in Castries.
Yeah, in Castries.
All right, so we're going to look this place up.
The central market.
You hear that? Don't you get drink?
Lots of restaurants out there that serve this food.
Oh my gosh!
And you have a wide range of dishes out there.
Absolutely.
Okay? In addition, you have some salad on the side.
For sure. Yeah. Let's get the fat stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that's gonna stick to your bones.
Right. Exactly.
Wow. I absolutely am. I really feel like your being here has really tied it in together for me.
Okay.
I've been here for 2 years, but I didn't know the importance of this national month where people literally celebrate the month of October.
And of course, it's around the language.
Around the language.
Creole language.
Yeah.
Okay. What we say in most instances, lang mamanu, our mother tongue.
Lang mamanu.
Yeah. Our mother tongue.
All
right. Our mother tongue. And this is the language that it's very romantic.
It is.
It surely is. Okay?
Yeah.
And telling a story in the language makes it even more appealing.
Yeah, it does.
And, and more accepting.
Yes, sir.
All right. And similarly, there are some derogatory words in the language that will really turn you off.
It's a family show. Go there.
No, we will not want to use any of this language.
We'll do it off camera. I'm blushing. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, but it's just so rich.
It is so rich.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
And very, very, amusing in most instances. There's certain people who speak the language just by hearing them.
Yeah.
It amuses you.
Yeah.
The way they sound.
When I'm listening to the radio and I can hear the commentators talking, and it sounds like they're just going at each other's throat, They're just being expressive.
Just expressive.
That's
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Wow. Mr. Hilary, what a blessing you are to not only St. Lucia, but to me and what you are bringing. It is truly, it is something that we need to listen to glean from, and be as expressive as you are.
Now, I would imagine since you've been here, you've learned some of the basic terms that we use, or phrases. For example, bonjour, I said a while ago, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Bonsoir, which is good night.
Bonsoir.
Okay. Merci, which is thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
The fisherman that saw you job is
farmer.
Oh, fisher.
Piche.
Yeah.
Piche.
Piche. Piche. All right. The farmer, they maintain the same English, wouldn't say farmer also. Although
don't say farmer.
From the French would say agriculteur. Agriculture from agriculture.
Okay. Okay. And can I say teacher?
Well, teacher is teacher. Now again, we and say teacher, and the way they spelled out is not like TCHA. That's teacher.
Didn't I tell you that that was just for enunciation purposes only? Make me feel bad on this show.
The sound of the sound of TJ would sound like ch, so it's TJ E.
T.
Sorry, it's A.
Okay.
T-I, that's T, and T-J-A, teacher.
Teacher.
But the ch sound. If you say C-H-A, sha.
Sha.
It's T-sha, but it's not sha, it's teacher.
Say I've been in the States for way too long. Because I could have you on here another hour teaching me how to talk. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us, man. You literally, I feel good. You just released some endorphins for me, man. Thank you so much for that.
You're most welcome.
And I'll say to my amazing St. Lucia family, thank you so very, very much for hanging out with us. But more importantly, I want you to be true to yourselves. I want you to love yourself and be patient with yourself. And if you fail and you need to get up and dust yourself off and try again and live every moment. All right? Live it in solidarity, live it in love. Continue to be kind, not only to yourselves but to other people. I wrote a couple of things down. I want you to think about moving forward, and then I'm going to hang up. There are steps to moving forward that have really helped me this week. This has been one of the trying weeks for me. It's been one of those weeks where I've stood in the mirror and said, God, can I do this thing? And to hear him say, yes, you can, and to surround me with people that love me in season and out of season is truly a blessing. 3 things. Do not dwell in the past. There's absolutely nothing you can do about your past. Isaiah 43, 18 through 19 tells us that. Overcome evil with good. I'll say that again. Overcome evil with good. That's Romans 12:21. And last but not least, he will wipe away every tear. That's a promise, Revelations 21:4. Don't really know who that's for, but I know it blessed me. Thank you so very much for allowing me to come into your home this evening. I hope that you've had as much fun as I've had, literally trying to talk Creole. Happy Creole Month. I love you. I'm still giving away this, even though you didn't call. I'll get it from our Facebook page, and just our way of saying that we love you. All right, the Lord say the same and the creek don't rise. We're going to do this thing again called Life and talk to Tongie next Thursday. Same channel, same time. Thank you again, Mr. Hilary.
Thank you. Once more. Very well. Welcome.
Bye.